Created with free version for non-commercial use.
Welcome back, everyone. Mark Price here at devslopes.com, and we've talked about conditional operators. We learned a lot. There's some really good stuff in here. One that I actually forgot to tell you about is the not equal to. So we'll do it right now. Okay. Not equal to, of course, we want to do the type checking as well. So we want to say that. So not equal to is the opposite of equal to. So, if val1 is not equal to val2, then we would say, these are not the same, right? One of these is like the other, okay? So not equal to. So if 23 is not equal to val2, which they're not because this is a float and this is a string. So let's refresh it here. These are not the same. Okay, so not equal to, same as equal to, except the opposite. So not equal to.
Created blown, with free right? version for non-commercial use.
Easy peasy. Okay, let's talk about logical operators. They go hand in hand with the conditional operators here. They just look a little bit different. So let's comment all this good stuff out. Ooh, double comments, cool. Let's go down here. And what is a logical operator? So if this condition is true and this condition is true. Oh, so you can have multiple conditions inside of a single if statement. So remember how before we had an if, and in the parentheses, you'd say if 1 equals 1, then do something else. So now we can have multiple conditions in here. So we can say if 1 equals 1 and if 1 or if 2 equals 2, then we can do something. Is this going to be true? Well, if 1 equals 1, this is going to turn into true, okay? And then it's going to do this one separately. So if 2 equals 2, this is going to be true as well. So if true and true, then do something. So
created with free version for non-commercial use.
These are both true. Let's see what happens. These are both true, okay? Here's something interesting. I could also have said if true and true. Because what actually happens here is these will return a true or false Boolean value. So it's the exact same thing as here. So if true and true, console.log, these are the same. Okay? And if I refresh the page, these are the same. That's interesting. True and true. What if I said, but if true and false? Okay? If this is true and false, well, false is not equal to true. Let's see what happens. It doesn't print out, right? Because this is going to false. Because true is not equal to false. But true is equal to true. Now, this is a little convoluted and silly, right? If 1 equals 1 and if 2 equals 2, blah, 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 blah,
created with free version for non-commercial use.
But I do want to show you one more thing, a couple more things while we're using this unrealistic scenario here, okay, is the OR operator. That's the double pipes, usually underneath your backspace key, okay, the OR operator. So if 1 equals 1 and 2 equals 2, or, okay, or if Joe is equal to Joe. Oh, interesting. So if 1 is equal to 1 and 2 is equal to 2, or if Joe is equal to Joe, well, so what it's saying is everything on this side, if one of these is true, or if one of these is true, then print out what's right here. So let's do a better example of it not working in one case, but working in another case. So let's say if 1 equals 3, that's false, right? I think it's false. It's false, okay? If 1 equals 3, or if Joe
created with free version for non-commercial use.
This is interesting. So 1 is not equal to 3, so this is going to be false. Now, if this was the ampersand, the double and sign here, see, double ampersand, that's what and stands for. So if 1 equals 3 and if Joe equals Joe, well, this is false and this is true, so this whole thing is false because true is not equal to false. And it can get a little bit crazy, like understanding true and false, what's going on here. It just takes some time. So if 1 equals 3, so this would be false, it would never run. But if we use the OR, only one side of the double pipes here, only one side of it has to be true. Okay, so console.log, one of these are true. Let's run it and see. Okay, one of these are true. All right, so the or lets you have a second condition, but one or the other, which makes sense. Okay, so let's put it into more of a practical application here. So let's talk about cats. Everyone loves cats, right? And we've got this
free
cool
version
new,
for non-commercial use.
Facebook app we built that's like a cat rater, and you can rate how cute the cats are. So var cat1, is equal to, let's give it scores actually. Like people rated the cats, right? So cat1, someone gave it a 5. Var cat2 equals a 10. Okay, var cat3 equals a 1. That's like one of those ugly cats that's like it was just born that way, and like you don't really even want to touch it. But it's like, well, I gotta like animals because it's not cool to not like animals, and but they got a 1. That's what people really feel about it. Okay, so this app that we have, it only shows the best cats, okay, in the rankings, right? So what we can do is we can say if cat1, okay, is greater than cat2, okay,
created with free version for non-commercial
use,
use,
is greater than cat3, then console.log, cat1 is the cutest. Okay, yay, cool, huh? All right, then we could do another one. So we could say else if, okay, cat2 is greater than cat1, or if cat2 is greater than cat3, okay, console.log cat2 is the cutest. Okay, and then we could just do an else, but we could have more cats. So let's do an else if. Else if cat3 is greater than cat1, or if cat3 is greater than cat2, console.log cat3 is the cutest. Okay, let's see what happens.
Created with free version for non-commercial use.
Here. Okay, cat1 is the cutest. Well, if cat1 is greater than cat2, hold on here. We done broke something here. If cat1 is greater than cat2, or if cat1 is greater than cat3, cat1 is greater. Oh, this is wrong. These should be double and signs, not ors. Silly me. It needs to be greater than both. Our logic is flawed. That's actually a very good example of how you can actually break an entire program. One little change like that can mess everything up. And we'll leave this in here because it's important to know that the little things you do in the code make all the difference, especially when it comes to logical operators and conditional operators. If you put the less sign instead of the greater than sign, it changes your entire program. And we make mistakes like this all the time. Even the top programmers, over at Apple and
created
Microsoft,
with free version for non-commercial use.
They'll scour their code for little mistakes like these. So it's important to understand that you can make those mistakes and it can cause a lot of damage. So let's refresh it now. Cat2 is the cutest. That makes more sense. He's 10. Now hold on though. Hold the phone. Okay. If let's have a handicap. So let's say the cat though is like disabled. Okay, it's like missing a foot or something, right? It's like really sad, and so you don't want to give it a bad score because that's just not nice, right? So we're gonna give it a disabled handicap. Okay, this cat's limping. It's got 3 legs. It was born that way. Nobody beat it. It's just born that way, and so disabled handicap. It just gets 20 points. Okay, well, cat 3 happens to have a disabled handicap. So if cat 3 is greater than cat 1 and cat 3 is greater than cat 2. Or, okay, actually, this can just be a Boolean.
Created with free version for non-commercial use.
If disabled handicap is true, okay, so let's take a look at this here. If cat 1 is greater than cat 3 is greater than cat 1 and cat 3 is greater than cat 2, or it has a disabled handicap, then it's going to be the cutest, right? So it doesn't matter if it's a 1. If it's missing a leg, it obviously is going to win. That's just how it works. But I don't think this code is going to work as we would expect it to work. So let's take a look here and see. It's still saying cat 2 is the cutest, which is really interesting, right? Because cat 2 is a 10 here. Oh, so what we're going to have to do, okay, is we're going to have to rewrite our logic to consider the disabled handicap on cat 3, okay? So again, this is just fun convoluted code here, but you're starting to see the examples of how the logic works, right? So if cat 1 is greater than cat 2 and cat 1 is greater than cat 3,
created with free version for non-commercial use.
If disabled handicap, let's say, and not disabled handicap. Okay, so what we're saying here is, let's actually call this cat 3 disabled handicap. Okay, that makes more sense, right? This only applies to cat 3. He's got it. Okay. And maybe all the cats could, but we're only checking it on cat 3. So if cat 1 is greater than cat 2, and if cat 1 is greater than cat 3, and if cat 3 disabled handicap is false, okay, meaning if there's no handicap on the cat 3, okay, then cat 1 is the cutest, okay. Of course, we know that's not going to be called because cat 1 is not greater than cat 2, so that's already false, okay. So now here's the moment of truth. If cat 2 is greater than cat 1, so if 10 is greater than 5, which is true, and if cat 2 is greater than cat 3, so 10 is definitely greater than 1, okay? But then we say and, all right? So and cat 3 and not cat 3 disabled, so we're saying the opposite,
with free
right?
version for non-commercial use.
Third cat is disabled, so if it's not disabled, so if it's better than these two, and if the third cat's not disabled, then this is true. Let's see what actually happens here. So cat 3 is the cutest. Oh, that's really interesting. So because we checked for this handicap here, it just moved on past. So let's say if cat 3 disabled handicap was false now, cat 3 is no longer limping. Okay, when we refresh the page, okay, cat 2 is now the cutest again. Do you see what's happening here? Okay, based on logic, our code is making decisions, and this is a little bit long. What I would probably do is like some order of operations. You know, I would check this first, you know, and then let that run there, something like that probably. Same thing with this, just to clean it up a little bit, make it more sense. Cat 3 is greater than cat 1, and cat 3 is greater than cat 2, or if cat 3 is, you know, disabled.
Created with free version for non-commercial use.
Okay, it's looking good. So what have we done here? We've talked about logical operators. That's the ability to test against multiple conditions inside of an if statement. Okay, and so we've got the and, which means both sides have to be true. The or means one or the other can be true. We also put a little exclamation point here, which you haven't seen before. Okay, that means not. So cat 3 disabled handicap. So if it's not true, so meaning if it's false, or we could have actually just said if cat 3 disabled handicap is equal to false. That's the exact same thing. But you know why write all these extra characters when we can put a exclamation point there? And this is looking good. So you've learned how to make decisions, and you're gonna use these a lot. You're gonna make all kinds of decisions. And yeah, you know, if you have an infinite amount of cats, you know, you're probably not gonna have a case here where you're going through every single cat. We'll probably use some type of loop or a more elegant way of going through this. But you're really starting to learn how to compare things and make decisions in your code. And what I want you to do is think about all the programs out there that you're using. Okay, this is your mental exercise. We're about to end. You're going to stop the video, and I want you to think about the programs. Think of the last app you used on your iPhone, your Android phone, or a website. Think of the last app that you used and what happened on that app. Okay, the last app that I used was actually a game. It was Clash Royale. Okay, so perfect example. In Clash Royale, what did I do? I started a game, okay, and then in the game, here's a perfect example. You got these little bars of life, elixir, and so they have code in there that if you don't have enough elixir to place a card, okay, that card is grayed out. And so here's a perfect example. If current card elixir cost, okay, is greater than or equal to current elixir, make the card colorful. Else, okay, make the card not colorful. And there could be other conditions in there as well too. So what I want you to do is think of the last app that you use, where they might be using some of these comparison operators, and where they might be using some of these logical operators as well too. Try writing it down too on a piece of paper, and it'll help your brain to start recognizing that apps aren't magical, that people wrote code and that they actually do things. And it's this code right here that gets you there. So cool stuff. Do that mental exercise, right? Well, it's right on a piece of paper. It's not mental, but just do it, please. And that's it for now. Mark Price at devslopes.com. See you soon.
Created with free version for non-commercial use.